Hello everyone, this is Ankit Jain. I welcome you all to my channel Take Journey with Ankit. This is day 48 of our LWC Bootcamp series, and this video is in the continuation of our data table series. In this video, we will discuss how you can use the wrapper classes inside the data table. Again, one of the most common requirement whenever we are dealing with the data table is we have to pull the information from the different objects and put it on the data table, and that's where the wrapper class will be very helpful. Not only that, we will also discuss how you can perform the operations on multiple rows at a time by using the data table as well. Before we get started, a quick intro about me. My name is Ankit Jain. I do have more than 10 years of experience in the Salesforce ecosystem, where I got an opportunity to work on the different clouds of the Salesforce, including the Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, CPQ, Billing, as well as on the Financial Services Cloud. Moreover, I am a Salesforce certified instructor as well. In case you folks like to connect with me, you can definitely subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can follow me on the LinkedIn, and you can also connect the Telegram group where we discuss all the queries that you will encounter during the implementation part. Let's try to understand first what is actually a wrapper class. So wrapper class is nothing but a class inside your class where you will group the similar or the different data type variables into a single object. Again, I'm repeating, wrapper class is nothing but a class inside the class. So in this example, if you see that we do have the contact controller that is referred as the outer class. In that class, we do have another class as the contact wrapper, which is the inner class. Now in this class, we do have the different data types of variable. For one variable, the data type is string. For another variable, data type is contact. For the another variable here, the data type is list of contacts. So what we are doing in this wrapper class is basically we are grouping the different data types variable and we are putting that as a single object. When you should go for the wrapper class, you should go for the wrapper class whenever you want to organize the concerned data in the effective way. For example, you are getting let's say you are dealing with the contact data, but at the same time you have to also get the details like how many opportunities are linked to the contact, how many cases are linked to the contact, right? What all different additional details that you want to fetch and put it on the data table. In such scenarios, you will go for the wrapper class, because with the help of wrapper class you can organize the data in the effective way. One more thing that we'll be learning in this session is the selection of the record. Many times we do have a kind of a requirement where we have to select the multiple rows and we have to perform the operations on the multiple rows by checking the checkbox. Now how you can perform that operation? To do that, here you can use another keyword on the HTML file, that is the on row selection. In the previous sessions, we have already discussed few keywords that you can use with the Lightning data table. Now this time we'll be using another keyword, that is the on row selection. Here, by using this keyword, you can invoke the method that will be available at the JavaScript side. In that JavaScript method, by using the event attribute, that is the event dot detail dot selected rows, you can get the detail of all the selected rows that user have selected on the data table. And after that, on that selected rows, you can perform the operation. So the key point to remember here is, here we do have one attribute available at the HTML file for the Lightning data table, that is the on row selection, with the help of which we can retrieve for all the details about the rows that user have selected. Now, this is the use case that we have to work for this session. In the first thing that they are asking here is, we have to go and add the two additional columns in the data table. The first column is going to be the, we have to go and put the count of cases for the contact, and the second thing that we have to put here, an additional column for a bad contact. A contact can be identified as a bad contact only and only if the lead source for that contact is phone inquiry and the phone number for that contact is not present. Then we will say that this contact is a bad contact. These are the two additional columns that you have to put on the grid. So you cannot directly put those columns because there is no column available at the object level, that is bad contact. Definitely you can do that with the formula field, but here we are trying to understand the use case with respect to the wrapper class. So we will see how with respect to the wrapper class we can create an additional column as a bad contact, and how we can count the cases and put that as an additional field. Also, another use case here is we have to enable the user here to delete the multiple contacts at a time, and this they can delete those contacts only and only when the case count for that contact is greater than 0. Sorry, the case count for that contacts is 0. In case the case count is not equal to 0, then we have to raise the error message. And another requirement here is we have to this delete button that we have to put it on the data table. It should enable only and only when at least one record is selected. So this is the business requirement that we have to work on. So let's move towards the editor now. So again, I will be using the same data table that we will be using in this series to meet this requirement. So in this Lightning Web Component, we are getting the data from the controller by from the class contact controller, and here we do have one method that is the get contact based on account. So if I navigate to that controller, here we do have all the columns that we are fetching from the contact object, and we do have one filter criteria as well. Now here, as per the requirement, we have to go and add two additional columns. First one is we have to get the count of cases for the contact. Again, we don't have such column directly on the contact, but one thing we know that the contact and the cases, they are related to each other, right? And they are in what kind of relationship? I'm expecting the answer in the comment section for that. So here what I am doing is I am putting the additional query to get all the related contacts, related cases for that contact, and here I go and put select id from cases, so that I will get all the related cases for that contact now. But I cannot show this kind of an information directly on my data table. To display that kind of an information on my data table, here I need to take the help of the wrapper class. So what I am doing here is, here I go and create my wrapper class. A class inside the class is referred as the wrapper class. So here I go and create another class, and let me name that class as a contact wrapper. Right now in that class we can go and define all those different properties, but one key thing folks, whenever you are defining the properties in the wrapper class that needs to be accessed in the lightning web component, that properties must be annotated with @ or are enabled, right? Definitely you can go and define the getters and setters here if you need to update this property dynamically as well, right? So what I'm doing here is, here I go and use the aura enabled, and what all the different properties that I need to access, I can go and define them one after the other. Now in my JavaScript file, this is very important to understand what property name that you will be giving here. Whatever the name that you are using in your field name, that should be your property name. You cannot give any other name as the property name whenever you are using the wrapper class for the data table. So you have to make sure that your field name as well as the property name that you are putting up here, it should match. So here if I go and split my screen again into the two, what all different properties name that I am using here, I am taking that from here and putting it one after the other. First I am putting here is the first name. So let me go and put here the public string, and here I go and put the first name, right? Like this I need to go and define all these properties one after the other. So what I'm doing here is the second property that I do have here is the last name. This property name should be matched with your field name. The third property name that I do have here is the title. The next property name that I do have here is the phone. The next property name that I do have here is the email. The next property name that I do have here is the lead source, right? And there are two additional columns that we have to create here. So let's say the first column that we will be creating here is the case count. As of now we have not created, but we will go and do that later. So but for the time being, here I go and create those uh, aura enabled properties. First one I am creating here is the public. I need to put the count there. So here I go and define the data type as an integer and putting the number of cases. Another property that I am defining here to identify whether the contact is a bad contact or not. And for that here I go and create a one boolean variable, and I am defining that as a is bad contact. How to identify the bad contact? As I have highlighted, if the lead source value is phone inquiry and the phone number is not present, then we're going to identify that contact as the bad contact. One more property that we required here that we need to pass, that is the ID of the record, because based on the ID only we are performing lots of operations in our data table. So here I go and pass the ID as well. So here I go and public string, sorry, ID. Here I go and pass the ID as well. So this is how you can pass all those properties here. So my wrapper class is ready. If you want, you can go and define the getters and setters. But again, we are not getting any value from the Lightning Web Component. We are only returning the value. So getters and setters are not required in this case. Now what we have to do here is, based on the information that we have got here, we have to iterate over that data and populate all those details. So let me do that one after the other. So we do have my con list, and let me iterate over this con list now. For contact con of con list, I'm iterating over this contact because now I need to populate the wrapper, because I have to return the wrapper to my UI. And for that I am creating the instance of the wrapper here, contact wrapper. Let me put here the wrapper is equal to new of contact wrapper. Let me close this, right? And in this wrapper, now we'll go and populate all these properties one after the other. So first I am populating here wrapper dot id is equal to con dot id. From the contact I am getting the details and populating it up here. Wrapper dot first name is equal to con dot first name. Wrapper dot last name is equal to con dot last name. Next one here is wrapper dot phone is equal to con dot phone. Next one is wrapper dot email is equal to con dot email. The next one here is the lead source. Wrapper dot lead source is equal to con dot lead source. Right now, there are two additional properties that we have to populate. First is the number of cases. So let's go and populate the number of cases here. So wrapper dot number of cases is equal to, how we can get the number of cases here. Number of cases will be coming up from the from this relate from the subquery. So how to access that? I believe everyone knows that it's a basic apex that we have to do. To do that, we have to simply use the con dot cases dot size. So from the cases, we are getting their size. So sorry, let me go here and put con dot cases dot size. And this is how you can access all the cases related to that particular contacts. Another thing that we have to populate here is whether the contact is the bad contact, and how we can define if the contact is bad contact. As I said, if the contact dot lead source is having the value as phone inquiry and contact, let me put here string dot is blank for the contact dot phone, then we can say that contact is having the then we can say that the contact is having, it's a bad contact. So here I go and put that is bad contact is equal to true, else I am putting that, sorry, else I go and put that wrapper dot is bad contact is equal to false. This is how we have identified if the contact is the good contact or the contact is the bad contact based on this phone inquiry. Let me go and correct the spell. It should be inquiry. Now the next thing that we have to do here is, we have only populated one record here, but in the list we do have the multiple record. Again, we have to apply the concept of bulkification. So here I go and define the wrapper list. So here I go and put list of contact wrapper. Let me put here wrapper list is equal to new list of contact wrapper. Right, so we have defined that list, and in that list we will go and add all the wrapper records one after the other. Now the next thing that we have to do here is, as of now my method is only returning the list of contact, but this time I need to go and return the list of contact of wrapper. So here I go and change the return type to this list of contact wrapper, and rather than I go and refer the contact list, here I go and return the wrapper list this time. Again, a quick revision what I have done. I have added the properties here for all the properties that we have to populate for the wrapper class one after the other. The name of the properties must be the exactly same whatever the column field name that you have given. And after that there are two additional properties that I need. First is the number of cases and second is the bad contact. I have added those properties. After that I have iterated over the wrapper class and populate that data one after the other. Let me go and deploy this now. We are getting one error here at line number 71. What is that error? Okay, here I missed to put a double equal to sign. Let me go and do that and deploy this one more time. Now I do have my Apex classes ready with all the wrapper details. In now the next thing that I have to do here is, in my Apex class under the wrapper I have added two different columns. One is for the count of cases and second one is for the bad contact. Now I need to go and add those columns in my HTML file as well. Sorry, in my JavaScript file as well. So let me open the JavaScript file to define those additional columns. Right, as of now we only have this much columns here. Now the next thing that I am doing here is I am adding one more column, and that column is for the case count. So let me go and put the label here as the case count. What all additional details that we need to put here? We need to go and put the field name. Field name we have already put it in the wrapper, so make sure that you are putting the exact same field name from your wrapper. The field name for me here is number of cases, so here I go and put the number of cases. Next field here I need to go and define the type. The type here will be the number because our field it is of integer type, so the field type will be number. Again, I don't want this field to be editable, so here I go and set the editable attribute value as false, because other fields we are making that editable. This is the field that is generating based on the contacts count, right? So I don't want this field should be editable, and also I don't want to display any default actions on that field. So I am hiding all the default actions as well. I already explained all these attributes like the editable, hide default action in the previous session. I hope you guys are following the series and you are already aware about it. The another column that I need to add here, whether the contact is the bad contact or not. So I have copy and pasted that column. Let me go and add here is bad contact, right? What I need to do here is I need to go and get that value from the field name. uh, what is the field name that we have put here is bad contact, right? The second thing that we have to put here is the type, and that's fine. Here the type should be the boolean because we are dealing with the boolean type of a variable. Again, I don't want this field to be editable, and here I want to hide the default actions as well. So I do have my things ready with me. I do have the case count, I do have the is bad contact available as the column. Now if I go and deploy this, my expectation here is two additional columns should be added, and I should see the case count as well as the bad contact details as well. Now let me go and refresh the page here, pull that page and refresh that page here. Now you can see that I do have the two additional columns available. One is coming up for case count and second one is coming up for is bad contact. Right here, I am getting the case count for the Virat Kohli as the 2. If I go and open that contact record and check the cases, I do have the 2 cases available here. Next, I can see that is bad contact flag, red flag is checked because here the lead source value is phone inquiry and my phone number is blank. That's why is bad contact checkbox is also coming up as checked. So our first requirement is made as per the use case. Now we have to go and work on the second requirement. Second requirement says that we have to enable the users to go and delete the multiple records uh, from the data table, right? So for that we have to go and define one button in our HTML file that we call as a delete button, right? And when the user clicked on that delete button, then we should go and delete the multiple records. So again, let me navigate to my editor. First, I am navigating here to my HTML file. In my HTML file, I am defining one button under my okay here. As of now, I don't have any lightning card, so it's better to go and put everything inside the lightning card. So our button will get a proper background. So here I go and put is lightning card. I am putting here title as the data table series, and here I go and put the icon name as custom 14. So I do have my lightning card with me. Let me close that lightning card just below here so that everything will be fall under that lightning card. Now inside that lightning card I am creating one button. Let me go and do that in div class slds m around small, adding some margin and putting my lightning button inside that lightning button. Let me put a label here as the delete multiple records, putting a variant here as a destructive. Another on click I want to execute the handler, so let's say I'm calling that as a delete records handler. And again, in the requirement they have also highlighted that initially that button should be disabled, right? If you see here, they have highlighted that the delete button should be enabled only when at least one record is selected. That means by default when my component is loading, that delete button, it should be disabled. So what I am doing here is uh, why I'm getting that error. Okay, that's fine. Let me go and put here the disabled is equal to, and here I am using another property. Let's say disable me. You can give any name to the property, it's completely up to you. So this is how I have defined one button here. So this is the property and this is the method that we will be using. First let me go and define that property in the JavaScript file. So let me go to the JavaScript and define that property here, and I am checking this value to true so that when my component will be loading, the flag will be disabled, right? But how can I identify whether the users have selected any records or not? To do that, as we have discussed in the theory, we have to use the another attribute from the lightning data table, that is the on row selection. So here I go and navigate to the HTML file and defining the on row selection attribute here, on row selection, and let me name that as a select rows handler, and I'm naming that as a select rows handler. So there are two methods that we need to define. First one is the select rows handler. So let me scroll down to the bottom. This is the one method that I need to define, select rows handler. Another one that I need to define here is the delete records handler to delete the multiple records. So first row will be responsible to understand whether the user have selected the multiple rows or not, and based on which we will go and enable the disable flag in case user have selected the multiple rows. Then what we will do based on that method, we will go and enable the flag in our component. So let's go and do that. How I can get the selected rows? To get that selected rows, you have to use the event attribute, that is the selected rows attribute. So here I am using the event, and let me get the selected rows is equal to event dot detail dot selected rows. Next thing here is, here I am checking if the selected rows that I am getting, because here it will return me an array. So if I am checking the length of an array is greater than 0, if the length of an array is greater than 0, then what I am doing here is we are using the disable me attribute, right? I am setting that value to false. Otherwise, if the length is 0 or less than 0, but there will be no less than 0, of course, but if the length is 0, then we will be setting the disable me attribute to true, like this, right? So that the button will be disabled automatically. Now let's say my button got enabled and user have clicked on the button to delete the multiple records, and that's where the delete records handler method will come into the picture. Now here to delete the multiple records, we do have one condition, and that condition is the case count for those records must be 0. In case the case count for that record is not 0, then we'll be raising the error message. So before we go and perform the delete operation, we have to check the case count is 0 or not. Again, for that we have to again access all the rows. One way is you can store all these selected rows in the property. Another way is you can also access all the selected rows by using the query selector as well. One way I already showed you how you can do that by using the event. Another way here is just an FYI so that you guys can aware about both the approaches. You can use here this dot template dot query selector, and here in the query selector you can specify the name of the data table. So in our scenario, the name of the data table here is C custom data type, right? And from here you are calling the method to get all the rows, and that method is get selected rows. This method is only and only available for the data table. This method is not available for anyone else. Okay, so get selected rows. In our scenario, this custom data type is nothing but extending the lightning data table. That's why we do have the access of this method with us. So now I got all the selected records. For all the selected records, we have to check if the case count is greater than 0 or not. So what I am doing here is I am defining one variable here, that is all good records, and I am setting that flag value to true. Now let me go and start iterating over that record to figure it out whether all the records are actually good or not based on our requirement. Again, it's an array. So to iterate over the array, I am using the map, and here I am using the current item. Here I am using the current item. To check all these values one after the other, you can also definitely go for another method like filter to filter the records where the case count is greater than 0 or not, and you can check the array length. There are different ways to do it. It's up to you how you want to do it. I want to keep it simple here because map is the one method that everyone is familiar with. So here I am using the current item, and from the current item I am checking the case count. My case count will be available in the method, that is the number of cases. So here I go and put if the current item dot number of cases is greater than 0. For everything I am checking the same, for every record I am checking the same thing, or it's better I should go for the filter because otherwise I need to go and write down all the code. So here I am filtering all the records where the case count is greater than 0 or not, and I am storing that record into one of the array property. So let's say let selected records have cases, right? Here I am getting all those records where actually the case count is greater than 0, And if I am getting any of this record, so let's say if the selected records have cases dot uh, length is greater than 0. If the length is actually greater than 0, what I need to do here is I need to go and set this value to false. I need to go and set this value to false. Again, I am repeating. First, I have initialized that flag value to true. After that, I am applying the filter method to check for how many records that user has selected. The number of case count is greater than 0. If I am getting any record where the case count is greater than 0, then I am setting that flag value as false. Now here, what I will do is here I will go and check if the all good records flag value is true, then I will go and perform the delete operation here. Otherwise, I will fire an error message using the toast event. Now, how to perform the delete operation? Again, very simple. We have already done that once in our data table series as well by using the delete record adapter. So what I am doing here is, again, I am iterating over the selected records one after the other and putting the current item. And to perform the delete operation, here I go and use the delete record adapter, and in the delete record I am passing the current item dot id. But again, I want to perform this operation with the help of async await, right? So what I need to do here is I need to go and mark this one as an async method, and the next thing that I need to do here is I need to wait till all the records has been deleted successfully, and for that I am using the kind of a promise all. How to use the promise all I already covered in the previous session. So let me put here delete records confirmation is equal to this, right? And after that, I am using the try catch block, which is a kind of a good practice whenever we are performing the async await operation to do the error handling. And here I go and use the promise dot all, and here I am passing the delete records for confirmation, so that my all records will be deleted in the loop. And once everything got deleted, then and then only we can say that my delete operation is successful, and that's what the all method will help us to do, right? So here, in case the delete operation got failed, then we have to do the error handling, and for that we need a catch block as well. So here I go and put the catch block. Again, to display the error message at multiple places, we have used the show toast event. So I am simply copying the code from there and pasting it here, rather than I go and write down the same code again and again. So here I say that my title here is success, and here I say that records deleted successfully, and variant I am putting up here as a success variant, right? In case the operation got failed, then what I am doing here is I am populating the error details, and we can access that error details from the error dot body that message. Let me also add here the delete failed for my own understanding. In case the delete operation has been failed, I can see the error message here. I can also like to log it for more detail. Console.log error while delete, and here I do have my error message printed as well. This is for the user, this is for my own troubleshooting. I need the additional details, so that's why I have put that there as well, right? Now we do have the else condition here, right? Because in case all the records are not deleted, then what will happen? We do have this else condition coming up here. So for that else, here also we have to put the error message, right? And this time the error message will be uh, all selected contacts, or let me put up here something like uh, selected contact have active cases. selected contact have active cases. So this is the error message that I like to put in case the delete operation is success. In case user in case we do have the cases and still user is trying to perform the delete operation. Now, one more thing that we have to take care in case the delete operation is successful, right? Then what we have to do here is we have to go and clear the selected rows. This one, where we are getting the selected rows, we have to manually go and clear that selected rows as well. How to do that? Again, you will come up here. Once your operation has been done, you have showed the error message, you have showed the successful message. That after that also you can do here, you will go and put the selected rows and initialize it with the empty array. Also, we have to refresh our table as well. We have done that in every series of our lightning data table. Once the operation has been performed on the table, we are refreshing that table. So how to refresh the table? Again, we will be using the refresh apex, and with the refresh apex, we are passing the data to refresh that table. Again, let me quickly look. This is the kind of data that we have to pass to refresh the apex. So where is that? Correct. Sorry, let me go and put it here so that my data will be refreshed. Again, contact refresh properties. These are, it is nothing but the data that we are getting up from the Apex. We have stored that data based on the Apex output into one of the property, and we are using that everywhere whenever we have to perform the refresh operation. Right? Again, a quick revision. What I am doing in this one. First, based on the user selection, I am checking that if the selected rows are available or not, and accordingly, I am enabling and disabling the button. If the selected records are there and the button is enabled and the user clicked on the delete button, then we are invoking this method. By using this line, I am getting all the selected rows. After that, I am using one flag and I am setting that flag values to true. Why I am doing this? Because the business says that if the selected rows have any number of cases, then we should not go and perform the delete operation. So here I am using the filter method to figure it out. For the selected rows, do we have any record whether the case count is greater than 0? If that is the case, then basically I am saying that all the records are not good, so we should not go and perform the delete operation. And that's where I am also putting up an error. That's where I am also go and put the uh, toast event there as well. In case all the records are good, then I am performing the delete operation as the operation needs to be performed in the loop, and we can say that the operation will be successful if all the records are deleted. So that's why I'm using here the promise all and showing up the success message here. After once the operation is completed, here I go and initialize the selected rows and refreshing my data table too, right? So that's what we are doing in this component. Let me go and deploy this. So let's go and validate if the functionality is coming up as expected or not. So here I go and refresh the page. So we do have one button here. You can see that initially this button is disabled, right? If I go and select at least one record, this button is coming up as enabled. If I go and deselect this, again the button goes disabled. So that functionality is coming up as expected. Now here we do have the case count available. So if I go and select this record and try to delete this record, you can see that we are getting an error message. Selected contacts have the active cases, right? So we cannot go and perform the delete operation here. So that functionality is also coming up as expected. Now the next I am doing here is for these two contacts, we don't have any case count. The case count is coming up as 0. So here I go and select these multiple rows and try to delete those records from here. You can see that the records got deleted successfully, and also my table got refreshed here as well, right? So this is how, folks, you can use the wrapper class and also perform the operations on the multiple rows at the same time. I hope you folks found this session helpful and got some new learning from this session. Kindly share your thoughts in the comment section as well. Thank you. Have a good time.